Hi everyone, Kelly here, and it's Friday, so let's talk about the things that I have read this week or finished. And some of these things that I have finished, I might have finished last week, but if I didn't talk about it in my mid-month wrap-up, I'm just gonna include that here. So none of this stuff was talked about in that wrap-up, but it might have been a little over a week since I have finished it. First of all, I finished 4 mangas so far, and I'm not gonna talk about these in detail because I will have a video coming up in the next week where I talk about each of these and a few more that I'll be finishing. But just so you know, in case you want to know what I'm going to be talking about in that video, these are half of the ones. So I read the first volume of A Bride's Story, the first volume of Spirit Circle, the first volume of Dead Dead Demons, Dead 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 Destruction, and the first volume of Girls Last Tour. And then the other things that I have finished, I finished a read aloud with my daughter. We read this, it was me and my 7-year-old and my mom. We read this all together, so my mom and I would switch off reading to her, which is so fun when we go to visit them. So we were visiting my parents last week, and whenever we go to visit, it's kind of become a tradition now that me and my mom and my oldest read a chapter book together. We read The Hobbit back at Thanksgiving, and this time we read When the Sea Turned to Silver, and I just love Grace Lynn's books. We really, all 3 of us just really enjoyed it so much that there were times where we usually read it at bedtime, but we would like pull it out in the middle of the day and read, and we would like be like, no, you gotta leave us alone. We're reading our book. And so I really love this. I'll talk about it in more detail at the end of the month, but this is based off of like Chinese mythology, and it's just really great. Absolutely loved it. We had a great time reading that together. And then another thing I finished just yesterday was Pines by Blake Crouch. It's the first in a trilogy, and this is just like a mix of a whole bunch of genres. It's like thriller, mystery, sci-fi, all that happening. And this was just really fast-paced and fun. So like at the beginning, it was a little repetitive. It's about this like agent. He's a Secret Service agent that goes to this town to investigate some other missing agents to try to find what happened to them, and then just weird stuff starts happening and he doesn't know what's going on. And yeah, it's just like a ride the whole time. So like the beginning, you're kind of like, it's got that repetitive thing of him like just trying to figure out what's going on, the same kind of thing happening over and over. But then it hits a point where they start revealing stuff, and it's just like, boom. I just could not put it down at that point. Really had a lot of fun with this. Interested to see where this goes. Like, I'm just wondering if this is going to be one of those where the series maybe isn't as great as the first book, because this one was just explosive and just like so much stuff happening, and couldn't put it down. And then I also finished some books for the Queer Romance Readathon, which was happening last week, and that's kind of trickling into this week as well, because you'll see in my currently reading pile that I have a couple of those. I just didn't finish for the readathon, but I did finish, I finished 2 things for the Queer Romance Readathon. So I read a novella called A Little Light Mischief, and I think this is by Cat Sebastian. I will put the covers up because I can't remember exactly. I was reading them as ebooks or audiobooks, and this one was all right. Like, it was kind of middle of the road for me. I think it just took a long time to kind of set up the relationship. This is a sapphic relationship, and yeah, I think it just took too long. I feel like in a novella, you really have to get in there and like start building the relationship right away. But this one, we were kind of building the backstory of the 2 women that we were following, and which is fine in a novel length, but in a novella, I was like, okay, we don't have much time to spend with these people, so I don't feel like we got much of their relationship at all. So that's why it was kind of middle of the road for me. I wanted the relationship to start earlier so that I could actually be invested in it, instead of being like, oh, and now it just started and it's done. So this was all right. And then I listened to the audiobook of Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall, and I like absolutely love this. This will be one of my like new favorite contemporary romances, because I was just like, I swear I probably had a smile on my face like the entire time I was reading this, and I kept telling my husband, I'm just like loving it. It's just so sweet. We're following a main character, like we're in his perspective, who's a little bit of a mess. Like everything's just kind of falling apart in his life, and he gets kind of like this ultimatum at work that like he's showing up in the tabloids a lot, and so his work is like, you need to like be in a, you know, respectable relationship, or, you know, you're not going to be able to be, because he's like a fundraiser, so he's often in the public image, and so he decides to get a fake boyfriend in order to have a respectable relationship. And so he like, which first of all, there was a lot of issues going on that are problematic, that his work would like force him to be in a relationship in order to be seen as respectable. So yes, there are issues there. Totally, like, as a part of the book that is expressed, that is messed up. But yeah, so he decides to have this fake relationship with this man who is a barrister, because obviously that's a well-respected professional. So they're pretty much opposite, because he's all put together and all that, where our main character Luke is just kind of like all over the place. And I just love their relationship. I just thought it was really sweet. I mean, yes, there was a lot of drama and issues they had to work through, but I was just rooting for them the whole time, because I just thought that they were so sweet together. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. And that's all the things that I have finished in the last week. And then I will talk about first the two things that I had started for the queer romance readathon but didn't get finished. So it's Pride Month. I'm just going to continue and reading them in June. And the first one was an ebook of The Perks of Loving a Wallflower. And this one is another sapphic romance, but this is a full-length novel, so we are taking some time. I'm just at the beginning when we are learning the backstory, which I'm fine when it's a full-length novel and we have a little more time. I feel like I'm not worried about that the author having time to develop their relationship, because we have 400 pages to do that. So I'm just in the like backstory time at the moment, but I am enjoying it. I'm liking both of our characters. We're following a woman named Philippa and a woman named Tommy, but Tommy also sometimes dresses like a man. So I think at the point I'm at right now, Tommy wants to speak to Philippa, but doesn't feel like she can as herself, so she's dressing up as a man in order to introduce herself to Philippa. But I think, from what I've heard from other people, that lie doesn't go on for very long. Haven't like seen the reveal yet, but I'm hoping that means it'll happen towards the beginning and that they can like get to know each other for real. But so far I'm enjoying both of the main characters, but like I said, very much in the beginning of that. The other one that I started as part of that readathon was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which I think everybody has heard of this book. So yeah, I am enjoying it. Like, I kind of took a while to start this, because when a book is so overhyped, like so many people love this book, I kind of shy away from it because I worry that I'm going to be the one that like hates the book that everybody else loves. But so far, I am really liking it. I'm 150 pages in, so we haven't reached the Trojan War yet. We're still just kind of learning about Patroclus and Achilles. Why did I not remember his name? His name is on the title of the book. But yeah, learning about the start of their friendship and the start of their relationship. They have not reached the war yet. I feel like I'm worried that I am going to stop being interested in this once they get to the war, because I've read a couple other books revolving around the Trojan War in the past, and I just don't care. Like, I just don't like war books. And the only reason I've even picked up Trojan War books is because I like Greek mythology. But yeah, I just don't know if I'm gonna like it once we get to the war, but I'm enjoying it at this point. Like, I like the relationship and learning about them up until this point, so hopefully I can continue to like it. I'm just a little nervous about getting to the war scenes. And then another thing that I am in the middle of is The Count of Monte Cristo. I am reading this for the whole summer as part of the readathon that's happening on BookTube with a bunch of other people. And this is the bookmark of where I was the first time I read this book a year ago, and this is where I am on my reread. So I'm doing really well. I'm about 250 pages in. I'm still up with the readathon, so I am determined to finish this summer. And I just really am enjoying it. So I'm kind of glad that I restarted it, because I am fully invested. I started listening to this on audio before I was reading it physically, but I thought since I'm rereading, I should just do it on audio so I can get through it a little quicker. But I actually didn't even speed up the audiobook. I have it only at like 1.25 speed, because I'm just really enjoying the way the narrator is reading it. And I just love the beginning part of this book. So I'm really glad I started it over again, and I'm enjoying my read. And then I picked up Midnight at the Blackbird Cafe, and this is a group read for Krista's channel at Books and Jams. She does a Patreon. This is a group read for that, and I am 100 pages in, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's very much like small town southern type thing with a little bit of like magical stuff going on. Like, there's these blackbirds, which blackbirds aren't native to that area, but these blackbirds show up and they sing at midnight, and they're somehow related to the family of our main character here. And so I'm kind of enjoying this small town atmosphere and the like whole mystery around the blackbirds. So that one is going well so far. And last thing, only one more thing to talk about. I have started the short story collection called Jackalope Lives and Other Stories by T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher writes fantasy and does kind of like weird speculative type things. And I'm very much at the beginning of this. I've only read 2 stories one of which is the title story, Jackalope Lives, which I think she won a award for. Did she win the Nebula Award for that one? She definitely won an award for that one, and that one was really interesting. And then there was also a really short, like only 2-page story at the very beginning that is interesting because I was reading that story. It's just 2 pages, like I said, but it is obviously what inspired her newest book, Nettle and Bone. I haven't read it yet, but like just by hearing people's reviews and all that, I was like, I'm pretty sure the character that was in that short story, this 2-page short story, is the character that she wrote that book on. And she even says at the front, this was almost like, how long ago was this published? This short story collection was published in 2017, and that book just came out this couple months ago. But it says in the beginning of that, it says, to this day, I still wonder a bit about the bone dog and where it came from. It seems like a book I should write someday. That's the intro to that story. And so yeah, she did write that story someday. She wrote Nettle and Bone. So if you have read Nettle and Bone and liked it, there's a teeny tiny little short story in this one that inspired that book. So yeah, that's it for me. That's all I have finished and started this week. How about you? Are you reading anything exciting right now? Anything that you would like to chat about down below? And I will see you next time. Bye.